So there's something where every single person has experienced this at one point in their life or the other. That is an overreaction, especially in close relationships. We overreact. Our reaction is not proportional to what happened, it's bigger than the moment. And you walk away thinking, oh, I overreacted. You realize you overreacted, then follows the guilt and shame, and then you end up apologizing and you swear that you're never going to do it again. But it happens again. So in this video, I'm going to dive deep into why that is and how you can um, diffuse or stop the overreaction from the root so you can have authentic, transparent, really honest communication. Hi, everyone. My name is Meena Puri. I help you emotional triggers at the root. Um, so here, sorry, here's what happens. The overreaction, you can feel it coming in the body. It's anger, it's frustration, it's having to explain the same thing over and over again. You can feel it rising in your chest. The reaction is so intense that the body is desperately needing for release. So there it is. It almost projects. We just literally throw up on the other person. And then what happens? We feel better. When we feel better, we can think straight. And then we feel guilty. So the reaction starts in the body, and just the moment before we overreact, there is that accumulation, that intensity that happens. You can feel it like fire. You can feel your heartbeat getting fast. You feel so focused and so like uh, very cutting that this has to be said. I have had it. You're just up to your neck with it. So what's happening in the body? And that's the time where we need to do something different. First of all, let's understand why that is. Why that is because this is not the first time you have experienced this. Your body has experienced this type of reaction many, many, many times before. It's just that this reaction is an accumulation of all the other times where you had that reaction, you tolerated it, and you weren't able to say anything about it. You come to a point of no return, which is like, no, there's no way I'm going to put up with it. But there's a difference between explosion and communication. What we really want is communication. We don't want to explode because it serves no one. Before your body gets so intense, the reaction is building. You notice a little subtle thing somebody said. You notice feeling a little upset about it. What happens? We ignore it because it's not explosive yet. We second guess. We think maybe we're being too sensitive. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We want to keep the peace. We just chalk it out to it's okay, it happens. Stop making a big deal out of everything. Here's what happens for your body. As far as your body is concerned, there's nothing big or small. You can't tell your body, you can't tell yourself, don't feel the way you do because it's a bit too late. The experience has already happened, so you might as well deal with it. And this thing about something is big or small is all relative. What may feel really small to someone, it feels really big to you. It's really about how it feels. So learning to honor what your body is telling you before you explode, it's like, this isn't right. I understand that not every time your body produces a reaction like this, we're in the middle of a meeting, we're in the middle of a conversation, we're in the middle of going somewhere. So we're not going to sit and take the time and ponder upon, but we can keep a tab on it. Like What is this thing that really, really bothered me? Just this simple acknowledgement that, gosh, that really bothered me. But it was such a small thing. That acknowledgement that it's something really bothered you is going to already nip your explosion in the bud. It's going to soften it because you're willing to look at it instead of react to it. If you are willing to look at it, then you'll notice the feeling, the why in that small moment of a small thing somebody said. What is it that you felt? You felt maybe not heard, not understood. And this thing about not being heard and not understood, it's a very painful thing. And that goes way back when you were never heard. You were invisible. What you said, what you felt, what you did, nobody, your family around you didn't notice you. They didn't get you. They said things about you that were not true. They blamed you for things you didn't do. They gave opinions of you which you did not agree with. So it's this feeling of nobody understands me. It's very, very painful. I'm being very general here, but I have seen devastating examples where this is the experience, so where this is the feeling, but there's so much trauma that goes behind it. It's not just a one-time thing, it just continuously becomes your way of being, your way of living. So you walk around in your adult life thinking, I'm never understood. Am I speaking Japanese? I keep talking, no one hears me. What I said is not what they heard. They just overrode everything I said. That diminishes you. That disconnects you from yourself. You don't know who you are anymore. There isn't anything more painful than this. That is painful. What happens in the current moment, that small reaction, it ignites, it's like a hot button. It pushes your button of that pain. We live in a society where I rather say I'm angry than say that really hurt because that's vulnerability. To be vulnerable takes another type of strength. You've got to have guts to be vulnerable and say, you know what, that really hurt me because what are you risking? You're risking somebody say, oh, you're just too sensitive. You take everything personally. You blow everything out of proportion. None of that is true and none of that matters because you feel what you feel. It's not right or wrong. It's not too much or too little. It just is. So you walk around with this belief that no one hears you, you're invisible. That's a lot of pain. So when somebody touches that button, you explode because underneath that explosion, that anger, what it is pain. It's pain of not being heard, not being seen. So if initially you take the moment when something feels just a tiny little bit annoying, you don't have to do anything with it, but you have to please acknowledge it, right? And just in your mind, take a note and saying, gosh, that really bothered me. I wonder what the heck that was. I do that all the time. It's like, what was it? And then I don't have the answers right now, or I'm not even taking the time, but it's with me. And then I like walk around thinking, what was that? What is about that that bothered me? And then I get to the point of it. Just this whole conversation with myself, that introspection, it keeps the reaction from being explosive. Because when you completely understand it, instead of exploding when somebody says that, you can right in the moment, if opportunity happens, and many times it is, we have cell phones, we can text and just say, hey, by the way, what did you mean by that? And the conversation, communication starts. Not attack, not reaction, and the person may not have meant it, or they may be asked to go back and look at what they said, how they said it. We can all be more mindful, right? We can all be more mindful of what comes out of our mouth. We can all be more caring and sensitive to how it may affect other people. That is something we can all afford to do. So then you can say, you know what, that really hurt me. I really felt misunderstood. I'd like to explain what I meant. Now, are we clear? Do you understand that? Chances are they say, oh, I understand. I'm sorry I said it this way. So you know what you just did? Not only you grew in your level of consciousness, in your confidence, you gave the other person to also grow up. Why do we avoid conversation only to end up in confrontation and explosion? Why don't we just say something to begin with? And the truth is, to be more mindful of what you just noticed, it doesn't take more time. It just takes awareness. So again, awareness is something that we can afford to do more of. Awareness, it's a bottomless pit. You can always be more aware. So that is why you overreact when underneath all of that, you're just plain and simple, you're just hurt from decades of not being heard and not being listened to, not being noticed, being invisible. And those experiences are in your body. Your body is like, like a whole place of hot red buttons that anybody can push and it's just going to go off the deep end. So do yourself a favor. Look at those hot buttons, go underneath, resolve them, heal the process. That's the deep work I do with clients. So your body can calm down. It can trust that when it feels this kind of a pain, you're actually listening to it. So it's not walking around ready to explode. It can walk around feeling steady and calm and grounded. So underneath your anger is pain waiting to be felt. Anger is a mobilizer, it's a disguiser. What it does, it disguises the other emotions because the deeper emotions take a very different kind of strength to feel. But anger is more easier to feel, I guess, maybe more acceptable because nobody walks around and saying, I'm really, really hurt. They just walk around saying, I'm really angry. That's the messages we exchange with one another. But underneath the anger is the pain. We need to get to the depth of the surface emotions so we can resolve the emotions from the root so we can stop feeling this way. When we resolve the emotions from the root, we gain our power back because all the energy that is subconsciously being vested in holding all of those painful emotions is now free to do whatever, to do better things with it. So that's the reason. I hope that made sense. I created a guide that says, why do you overreact when underneath you're just hurt? I am going to put a link for the free guide. You can go ahead and download it. And feel free to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.